Welcome to Hack the Entrepreneur, the show which reveals the fears, habits, and inner battles behind big-name entrepreneurs and those on their way to joining them. Now here is your host, John Naster.
Hey, this is Hack the Entrepreneur. Thank you so much for joining me again today. I am your host, John Naster, but you can call me Johnny. My guest today is the founder, CEO, and serial entrepreneur behind 3 companies, all within the real estate and mortgage industries. My guest has been building and growing Lyons Realty for the past 10 years. During this time, my guest has also started Revestor, the only residential real estate search engine that can run investment calculations live over the listings. And in case that wasn't enough, on top of this, for nearly 4 years, my guest has been the founder of Griffin Funding, a mortgage and lending company based in California. In this conversation, we discuss finding confidence as an entrepreneur, preeminence, and why revenue is only good for your ego. Now, let's hack Bill Lyons. I want to take a moment to thank today's sponsor, Brand24, smart social media monitoring for businesses of all sizes. Whether we are listening or not, people are talking about our businesses. Smart businesses, we listen. With Brand24, social listening is easy and simple. With social search, you can search the web for key topics, trends, or discussions. And with Brand24, you can be automatically analyzing discussions, campaigns, tracking hashtags from Twitter or Instagram, plus saving time, which is what we all need as entrepreneurs. You save time by having all of your mentions from Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, really anywhere online. Imagine all of this in one place. Brand24 enables you to reach customers so you can react and engage quickly to real-time comments made about your company. Find out why over 100,000 companies use Brand24 to monitor the web. Whether you're a one-person business, startup, or a Fortune 500 company, Brand24 helps you discover your digital footprint worldwide. Get started with Brand24 today. Absolutely free for 14 days. Go to brand24.com/hack. You'll get a 14-day free trial. Plus, as a Hack the Entrepreneur listener, you're going to get an exclusive 50% off your first 3 months. But you can start free today for 14 days. Go to brand24.com/hack. We are back with another episode of Hack the Entrepreneur. And today we have a very, very special guest from sunny San Diego. Bill, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, John. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely. My pleasure. I think this is going to be a lot of fun.
Let's do it. Let's have some fun.
Let's do it. All right, Bill, as an entrepreneur, can you tell me what is the one thing that you do that you feel has been the biggest contributor to your successes so far?
You know, I asked this question to my wife this morning, and her answer was drive. But I think it's confidence. You know, confidence for me has been able to get me where I am today for sure. Just being able to be preeminent, knowing that you've won before you've even begun, it's all confidence to me.
Wow. All right. So you disagree with your wife. So we're starting off strong. So there's obviously a huge amount of drive you don't get to where you are without drive. But this idea of confidence and like this preeminence that you mentioned, is this like an innate sort of thing within you that you've always had, or have you had to build this up?
Build it for sure. I mean, it started with martial arts. You know, my instructor, he would just beat everybody before, the match even began. And you could see the same thing in Mike Tyson in his heyday. You just knew when Mike stepped in the ring, he was going to win. He already won before it began. Am I like this all the time? Absolutely not. I'm human. But most of the time, I try to come in with this mindset of preeminence that, you know, I've already won before it's begun. I already see myself there. I already see and know that, you know, fate just wouldn't do it any other way.
Wow. Does this extend out? Are you the kind of person who is heavily like sort of directed by like goals, whether they're 3 months, 6 months, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, and then visualizing being there and then following the path?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I listened to your last podcast, which was really cool, about writing down your goals as present tense. On my whiteboards here, I've got, 3 different whiteboards, a monthly, a yearly, a 5-year. You can see through here. Obviously, they can't see it through the podcast. But yeah, I visualize. Martial arts helped me learn visualization as well, and, putting yourself there. So I use all those tools to, keep myself, the input versus the output correct in my brain, rather than, going through Instagram and Facebook all day and having them tell me what's important, rather than feeding my brain with what I believe is important.
I love it. I love it. So you've been at this game for several years now. And this has obviously given you this understanding of yourself and what has allowed you to accomplish what it is. And whether that's confidence, which I believe in you, or as your wife says, the drive, let's see if we can take it back, because I would like to sort of explore if you could kind of tell us how you got into business, and if it was like an obvious sort of moment where you were like, okay, this is the path I have to take, or did you kind of like stumble into it and now looking back, it makes sense?
Yeah, I mean, it's always been in my blood. I was in the telecom business through college. My dad's a real estate entrepreneur. He does spec homes. So I got into real estate out of college. I decided to read a couple books and think I was an expert, right? And I bought my first place. I couldn't flip it, rent it, wrap it, couldn't do anything with it. So I got started in real estate saying, hey, well, I could do this not being out for a commission, but being an advisor, and I could add value to people. But I ended up getting in the mortgage side of the business instead. And I started my first company in 2003 out of college, and grew that company to $1 billion a year in volume, $20 million a year in revenue, 38 states, 300 employees, and watched that whole thing explode in the Great Recession. At the time, it was just called the credit crunch, but obviously it wasn't just the credit crunch. So, I mean, man, I lost everything. So I walked down the street knowing that I can get hit by a bus at any given second, but at the same time that I have unwavering faith that it's always going to work out for me. There's two entrepreneurs. The one guy who walks around thinking that he can't get hit by a bus. It's just a matter of time, because we're all 1, 2, 3 chess moves away from losing everything as an entrepreneur. It's not a game for the weak. It's a tough game.
Wow. We're all 1, 2, 3 chess moves away from just losing it all. I mean, this would be where, I guess, that clarity of focus, knowing that that's there, but also I'm assuming you're not a risk averse type person.
Yeah, I wish I was less risky, but I'm risky. I try to mitigate it and try to be conservative. Like I was mentioning, we grew 1,100% in the last 3 years as a company. Our main company, which is the mortgage lending platform that we have in 4 states. Last year, we grew 220%. We didn't even try to grow. And if we would have tried to grow, we would have grown even more. But when you grow like crazy like that, it takes a ton of capital and a ton of risk. I think it's horrible that these lists come out, the Inc. 5000 lists and the top 100 businesses in San Diego. I think we're within the top 10. It shouldn't be based on revenue. It should be the fastest profiting companies, and they should measure it by profit, because it's creating this false expectation for people, or people trying to compare themselves when, that's teenager thought, when we should be thinking like adults of, who had the most profit at the end of the day, because what does anything else matter?
Do you think this is something that you've learned since, scaling a business across the company and then having it sort of taken in by the quote unquote credit crunch and losing everything, and to now having this, like, you seem much more conservative. Huge amounts of growth, but you're also just like, but we don't really want to grow that fast. And also there's these huge concerns around that kind of growth.
Yeah. Revenue is ego, right? Profit is the truth. So if you can stay away from the ego, I used to think of, at all costs, we need to grow from 10 million to 20 million. Doesn't matter if we even profit, because I want to be the coolest guy in the room. I could care less. I mean, I drive a Toyota truck. I'm more concerned with what's in my bank account and what investments I'm doing.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So you're running 3 companies right now, and you ran one previously. So these are 4 of them total?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you are what we would call, I guess at this point, a serial entrepreneur.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. The challenge is trying to synergistically get them to all work together as one and not be an octopus. And I feel like in my businesses right now, we talk about strength and weaknesses on your podcast. My weakness is the ability to pass off the baton instead of just being an octopus where everybody pulls on me. So, I work 3-4 hours a day out of my home before I go in the office, because as soon as I go in the office, it's just mayhem. It's chaos, which is good. It's organized chaos, but I've got to manage my day properly and put the right people in place.
Do you thrive on the chaos?
Oh yeah, I love it, and I love the people that I work with. I handpicked every single person. It's 95% character, 5% mechanics. We can teach them the rest. We have a really cool hiring process where we make people actually audition to make sure that they can do the job, see themselves doing the job, instead of 2 weeks in quitting and hiring the wrong people, because we all know, one wrong person can kill a company.
So audition for the part, that means they come in and literally do the job without being hired?
Yeah. So we do, like a Skype interview like this or FaceTime. Then I have them come in and meet with some of my sales guys and shadow them or whatever position it is. And then they actually do the work. So if it's sales, they actually make the calls.
Wow. Are you sales-based? Is that your sort of beyond confidence is your ability to sell? Is that one of your things?
Yeah. I mean, I had to learn how to sell. I never thought of myself as a salesman. I had a really good mentor, but all of our businesses are service-based businesses. And so in a service-based business, we got to work on 3 things. Number 1, how do we differentiate ourselves? Number 2, how do we add value? And then number 3, how do we create this culture of raving fans where you get all 5-star Yelp reviews and people come back? And to differentiate, we do it through technology, just like Zillow does the Zestimate, brings people in. At the end of the day, Zillow is just selling ads to realtors. They're not a technology company. I mean, of course, they have 200 to 400 engineers. So they are a great technology company. But first, they just sell ads at the end of the day. So, we have Revestor to bring us in leads of investors, and we finance those properties. So it all works together where we use this technology. We have a partnership with a company called Approved that's a digital mortgage platform. So not here to plug any of my companies, but if you're in a service-based business, you have to differentiate yourself. You have to add more value than anyone else. And lastly, you have to create raving fans. I mean, on Google, Yelp, 5-star reviews are so important for any business nowadays. So that's all I focus in on, is just hiring the right people so we can do those 3 things.
Right. And so when you say, so there's differentiation, adding value, and then the raving fans. So for differentiation, when you are looking into entering a market, does this mean that you like to enter markets that have competition, but you're just going to find sort of like the gap where you can differentiate and fit within?
Yeah. Riches are in the niches, for sure. If you can differentiate yourself and constantly find your ideal customer. Our business changed in 2017 due to political uncertainty and all the other stuff going on. So we had to find out, how do we meet the needs of our customer on a deeper level and redefine our ideal customer? Where does 80% of not our revenue, but where does our profit come from? And we had to redefine all that. And it took 7 weeks to do it. But yeah, it's a tough thing to constantly look at what that customer needs. And you can even create projects around that. You can create new businesses around that. The customers their needs aren't being fulfilled in this area. So what niche can I carve out and make money on it?
So did you actually reach out to customers? How'd you spend 7 weeks determining with a changed marketplace how you could continually provide value? We
did surveys. We changed our marketing around. We increased our leads. We made the marketing more niche-based. We increased our profit margins by 44%. We implemented a repeat referral type thing, and we just really focused in on those three things. How do we increase leads and sales? How do we increase our profit margin per deal by adding more value? We were actually able to do that by 44%, and then focusing on the repeats and referrals. And I did a 7-week program where we took time out of not working in the business, but on the business. And we did it off site, and we did it once a week for 3.5 hours. We're actually not even done. We're on the 5th one. Today's the 5th one that we're doing. So you got to work on the business with the team, not just in the business like a hamster wheel, to redefine that sometimes.
And so when you're talking about this, you are talking about, is this Griffin Funding, Griffin Home Loans?
Yeah, mainly Griffin Funding, but Lyons Realty was a part of it. Revestor's a part of it. Everybody's a part of it. How can we synergistically work together to, redefine that customer and focus in on them? How can we get the investment properties going more with Airbnb? How can we finance those better? How can we, handheld the customer throughout the process when it's scary if they're a first-time investor? How do we finance the deal? How do we help them on the real estate side by walking them through? So it's a really in-depth exercise that I recommend everybody does with their team.
And then, so the 3 companies, though, you're talking about now, they're the same team that runs the 3 companies? So you don't have to run from office to office to office kind of thing?
Oh, there's a couple people that cross over, like in marketing and a couple people on the ops side. But yeah, there's realtors over in the real estate company that make offers, negotiate deals, walk people through purchasing their first Airbnb property, looking at the cash flow, looking at the cap rate. Obviously, Revestor runs all the numbers for them. It searches on the MLS live for deals that they can rent out long-term or short-term. So different people in each business, but they all come together for these meetings because we have everybody there, even though it's not their job.
Right, exactly. Okay, so I get it. And I'm starting to see how this sort of works together, how they all sort of work together so hand in hand, which is quite smart. So now at the stage you're at, and with this exercise you're going through for serving the customer better, you're a serial entrepreneur, you have 3 companies going at this point across this team. Does this mean, like you mentioned in projects, how this can kind of bring in a new project maybe, or a new part of the company? But do you sort of, if there was like sort of an angle you could see where you could serve better, would you start another company at this point? Or like, I'm kind of, I guess, trying to figure out where's your sort of cap rate where you're like, okay, 3 companies is enough. I don't think that I can be spread any thinner or provide the value to the customer that you want to provide.
So it's just one question. Can we dedicate one person to this project or hobby full time, 100% of their time to it? If not, the answer is no. If you all work on it part time, it's a project and it'll never make money. So, we have a new technology called sniper farming. We actually purchased it, curbappealads.com. It was my first acquisition. And it's to help realtors with their farming, opposed to just doing postcards. It actually digitally farms the neighborhood with digital ads, where it matches the physical address to the IP address. So it's the same technology politicians used to win in their districts. Doesn't match by email address or like a Facebook or Instagram retarget or Google Display Network. It actually matches by IP. And so it was 90 days ago when we made this acquisition, and it's still a project because we have no one person dedicated to it. We have less than 12 customers on the platform. So we're aggressively trying to find that guy who can run that platform for us. So I won't start anything unless I have a guy who can focus in on that 110%, because otherwise I'm just spreading my team too thin and we just half butt it. I'm not sure if we can cuss on this thing, so I'll just say half butt it.
I think we can get away with half-ass, but yeah.
Okay. So, and then, what's your exit? Are you going to keep building more things that can synergistically add to other things? And when does it get to a point where it's no longer niches in the riches, where it's actually creating distractions away from the core business? I mean, that's a challenge that all of us entrepreneurs deal with, being able to say no, because it all takes capital. And at that point, you might have to bring on a capital partner or whatever the case may be.
Right. So I like this one simple question, like, can one full-time employee be dedicated to it? If not, then it's just a project or a hobby on the side. So with this one, was it Sniper something?
Sniperfarming.com. Yeah. So
farming. Okay. So with Sniper Farming, you don't have that person yet who can do the full-time. So what kind of a timeline do you put a timeline on something like this for, say, a success metric of some sorts? Like at some point, it's just you're throwing good money at bad, right? So what do you use to ensure that this doesn't happen to you?
I mean, the overhead's next to nothing in this case, so I don't really have a timeline on it. I know that we'll find that right person. Obviously, we're picky. We hire very, 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 very slow and fire very, very quick.
All right. So then with something like this, it doesn't really matter because you know that it's going to be worth the time, energy, resources, no matter what, because it's a small project that you'll find the right person for.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. Most loan officers walk into a realtor's office, knock on the door, bring some donuts and their rate sheet with a 30-year fixed product with some vanilla and cherry on the top. Everybody's got the same money. So we walk in and say, hey, we actually can help you increase your business, get more listings, because they all farm. They all have their own little 500 homes that they farm, and we can add value, right? Number 2, add value. So it'll work out. Just need to find the right person.
And so is this, just to get an understanding of the company, your client is the real estate agent or the consumer side or the investor side who would be buying the property?
All 3. So we do our own SEO, our own internet marketing. We also buy leads from companies like Lending Tree. And, we help clients finance themselves into a better financial situation through a refi, lowering the rate, pulling cash out, whatever the case may be. But our purchase money, where homeowners are looking to purchase deals right now, most of those come from our realtor partnerships and really taking care of the realtor as our client and the client as well, of course. But really the realtors are our client in that situation.
Right. And so, okay. So, and from the surface, I saw it as the other way, which is probably the default way people would think about it. But somewhere along the lines, you've, I guess, realized that your client is indeed the agent.
Right.
And so the more you can do for them, the more you can increase their business by adding value, the more your business will in turn grow.
You got it.
Brilliant.
At least that's how it's supposed to work.
That's right. Well, I mean, fair enough. So does your, let's kind of go back to this drive of where you're going. This is how it kind of all started from that conversation you had this morning over coffee, and how it was this drive that kind of brought you to where you are. Where do you, Bill, see this drive taking you? Where do you want it to take you at this point?
Gosh, I mean, I love training people. I love helping people improve their lives. I love helping clients improve their lives through their financial situation, through home ownership. But obviously, I want to make an impact. We work with an organization called Shelter to Soldier that places dogs, trains them to be therapy dogs that were going to be euthanized at a shelter with veterans. And that's a really, really cool organization I'm involved with. We've adopted 3 dogs so far, which is really awesome, that have PTSD or whatever issue this veteran may have. But the stories are incredible. So, giving back, making an impact, I feel like as all entrepreneurs are we haven't done enough. I'm not there yet. And we're all hard on ourselves, right? What we can do to go to the next level. We're never satisfied. So I just want to make a bigger impact.
And so that would be I've read somewhere, I believe it was written by you, about this 5-year sort of blueprint and how we need that as entrepreneurs, as people kind of pushing forward, we need to always have that in perspective of where it is we are and where we want to be 5 years from now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the problem is we all compare ourselves to others through this Instagram, fake life. And we need to live our own lives on our own levels. And as soon as we measure ourselves against someone else, we have lost because we are truly measurable. we're the architects of our own future. We're our own standard. I mean, Instagram is false expectations appearing real, fear. We need to change that into, gratitude, appreciation, manifesting into excellence. We need to play the game, right? Change the word fear into game, gratitude, appreciation, manifest excellence. Because you look at other people on Instagram. There was this kid the other day in the locker room. I was up in Dana Point on a little vacation, and he's in there with his grandpa and says, "Grandpa, who was your amazing guy of your time that you just looked up to, like the Kanye West of our time?" And he goes, "I didn't give a shit about any of that stuff." He goes, I worried about what I was going to do. And I didn't have Instagram and these phones and this BS that you guys have. I worried about how I was going to improve and how I was going to get better. I didn't care what these other people are doing, because we all know that half of these posts are fake, right? So I think that's the problem, is don't compare yourself as an entrepreneur to others. I mean, let yourself get depressed when you see it. Let yourself get angry, but don't stay there, and then get inspired that you're going to do something that's immeasurable on a different level than this person, because you're your own unique self. And I mean, I'm preaching to the choir to myself. I'm telling this to myself as well, right? Yeah. So I mean, that's how it is. I mean, that's how I see it.
Yeah. And so, okay, I love this. And this is you with looking forward and then comparing ourselves to others. So now we're going to wrap up with the final question that's actually going to do kind of the exact opposite.
Okay.
It's this idea I'm working with Bill calling the entrepreneurial gap. So I've spoke to like almost 400 entrepreneurs at this point. And this thing that I see within us is that no matter what we accomplish, we always seem to project our personal successes or see ourselves as successful, but in the future, meaning that in 3 months when you hit that revenue metric, or in 6 months when you stand on that stage, whatever it happens to be, we tell ourselves that that's when we'll see ourselves as successful. Yet, Bill, you and I both know seconds before you hit any of those goals, you're going to set 5 or 10 bigger ones into the future. And so it leaves us in this gap where no matter what we accomplish and no matter how successful we look from the outside, to us, it's always coming. So you've been at this for quite a while. You've accomplished a lot of things, Bill. I would love it if you could stop right now, turn and look behind you, the highs, the lows, the wins, and the losses. But tell me how you feel about this whole kind of crazy journey until today.
My good friend Ross Jeffries says it best, and he's one of the best NLP people of our time, that in this moment, the present moment, we're on a railroad track, and we can decide when to meet that track of the future. When we make in that moment of decision, we then shape our destiny, I think how Tony Robbins puts it. So live in the moment where you act as if, you don't care about 10 minutes ago. You don't care about what's going to happen 10 minutes from now. You're not on your phone. You're in the moment. And that's what I try to do. And I've had probably, I don't know, once every 3 months, I get in that moment where I'm, sitting there drinking some amazing wine with my wife. And, I don't care about what happened 10 minutes ago, or the mistakes I made, or the regrets I have, or what we're going to do next. It's just right there, right in that moment. And if we can all focus in on the moment, then the train tracks meet and our future is what we make it. So, that's what I try to do, and never take luck for granted.
There you go. I love it. All right, Bill, we've got to talk about your businesses in passing. Could you now specifically tell the listener who your business is for, what it can do for them, and then where to find you online?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm most active on LinkedIn, so you can connect with me LinkedIn, probably Instagram second. They're real posts, not fake posts. But Revestor helps beginner or expert investors look at cap rate cash flow in San Diego for Airbnb short-term rentals or long-term rentals. And then Lyons Realty helps you through the process here locally in San Diego. And then Griffin Funding helps finance our biggest niches, veterans, VA loans. We're a direct lender with the VA. We're in California, Arizona, Hawaii, and Washington, soon to be Texas. So we have a really good niche with helping veterans and also helping investors finance these Airbnb properties. So we do some very niche investment property loans, which are called non-QM loans or non-prime loans. So that's a little bit about what we do as a company. And again, we just try to make it all work together and meet our customers' needs on a deeper level that no one else can do. So
very cool. Very cool. So Revestor.com, GriffinHomeLoans.com, Lyons Realty, as well as LinkedIn. I'll find Bill's profile on there. And I'm going to try and track down some Ross Jeffries if we can.
Oh, you got to have Ross on.
Nice.
He's great.
I'll drop all that into the show notes for you to track down easily on Hack the Entrepreneur when you get a chance. So, Bill, thank you so much for taking the time to stop by. I really, truly, absolutely appreciate you being so open and honest with me. And please just keep doing what you're doing, man, because it's awesome to watch.
Thank you so much, John, for your time. I appreciate it.
What if you could discover what people are saying about you and your business in real time? Brand 24 gives you instant access to mentions about your business across the web, from social networks to influential publishers. Start discovering what people are saying about you with Brand 24. Go to brand24.com/hack for a 14-day free trial. And as a Hack the Entrepreneur listener, you get an exclusive 50% off your first 3 months. Go right now. Once again, that's brand24, brand24.com/hack. Well, that was a lot of fun. And we've made it. We're here. We're at this point in the show, the point where we get to go back. Are you ready for it? I am. Let's do it. Let's find the hack.
So I won't start anything unless I have a guy who can focus in on that 110%, because otherwise I'm just spreading my team too thin.
And that's the hack. Bill. I love this. So what Bill just said was a response to my question of how do you determine what projects to start and execute on? Which ones are worth your team's time, energy, and resources? And I love the answer. I won't start anything unless I have somebody that I can put on it full time. Otherwise, I'm just spreading my team too thin. This focus, this laser point of focus, so many of us, myself included, I've been guilty of this so many times, of running a business and wanting to start more businesses. And I'm not against, I run several businesses. That's totally cool. But make sure, this is the clarification, Bill runs several businesses, but when you want to start something new, whether it's a project within a company or a new company altogether, you need to have at least somebody who can dedicate full time to the project. Otherwise, it's this idea of like just getting spread too thin where you never nobody gets to execute at their best levels, at their highest outputs. And this goes back, I want to say 150 episodes ago when I interviewed my good friend from Montreal, Danny Eny. And he said that you need to go all in on ideas, which is what Bill's now saying, need to go all in ideas just to determine whether they are going to fail or succeed faster and then move on, right? When you kind of half-ass this like jumping into ideas, but not fully jumping in, just kind of not committing and kind of going at it, it can go on for 3 months, 6 months, a year, 3 years. And then it finally you find out that it was a terrible idea or the market didn't like it, whatever it is. But if you go all into it, like Bill says, you find this out faster. You find out where you can pivot, where you can change, what you need to do. But I love this. I won't start anything unless I have somebody to dedicate to it full time. Thanks, Bill. All right. Well, that was a lot of fun. What do you say? HackTheEntrepreneur.com is the website. I'm giving away my book. Sold over 10,000 copies of it. And now, if you have not read it, I want to give you a digital copy, a PDF copy, absolutely free. Well, you got to give me your email address. Go to HackTheEntrepreneur.com and you'll see it right at the top there. I would love you to have it. And then if you like it and you want a paperback copy, you can always buy one on Amazon. And if you do read it, reviews are awesome, right? You know, you can leave them on Goodreads. You can leave them on Amazon.com, wherever you would like. But go to Hack the Entrepreneur right now. If you are not one of the 10,000 people who bought my book, you can get a digital copy for free on the site. All right, it's been fun. Thank you so much for stopping by. I absolutely appreciate it. And please, until next time, keep hacking the entrepreneur.